Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 45. I am Matt Beatty, as usual, joined alongside by Kevin Ardell and Sean Beatty. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet us. I am at Beatty_Matt. Sean's at Sean_Beatty. Kev's at Kesbly, the first team believes, being a 3. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow our page on the Eli Network. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think of any of our topics. But, gentlemen, let's talk about the end of the hockey season and the beginning of a new hockey season here in the Pacific Northwest. So, the Lightning won the Stanley Cup in 5 games. Spokane native Tyler Johnson and Spokane Chief Tyler Johnson won his 3rd Stanley Cup. Unfortunate for Carey Price with such a run with the Montreal Canadiens to come up a little bit short there in the final, but still a great run for the Montreal Canadiens. A run that was very unexpected, very Eli Manning-esque, I would say, but well done to the Canadiens for getting there and for the Lightning winning the title. Now, next week is the expansion draft.
Being $18 million salary cap.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. But a lot of those salary caps are not hard in most leagues. Not hard salary caps.
Is encouraged. It's okay.
Yeah. So the Kraken will be doing the expansion draft next, I believe, Wednesday. That is July 21st. And so the actual draft is going to be on Friday, July 23rd. So we will have a little bit of preview coverage next week. So tune in for that. We're going to tell you maybe some players who might be picked by the Kraken from different teams, as well as what to expect with the actual NHL draft. So that'll be fun to get some hockey in the mix. You both, Sean, I know you've got tickets. Kevin, are you planning on going to a Kraken game at some point next year?
Oh,
getting to?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I won't know what the fuck's going on, but I don't give a shit.
Sit with Sean. He'll tell you what's happening if you have any questions. So let's also talk about the best team in the Pacific Northwest at this moment is without a doubt the Seattle Sounders. Since we were last on the air, they have tied 1-1 with Colorado in Colorado, and then they're coming off their most recent victory, which is a 2-0 win against the Houston Dynamo at Lumen Field. I will actually be attending the game on the 31st against San Jose, so if you see it on TV, just look for me. It'll be a blur, but I'll be there. So feel free to check that out there. And Sounders, I mean, either of you have thoughts? I mean, they're still undefeated this far into the season. Any thoughts on the Sounders?
They set the record for most to start a season and not losing. So, I mean, how can it be not good? They've been amazing.
Any thoughts, Kevin?
Just don't blow it, Sounders. Like, don't go into the playoffs and then just be like one and done, or just. You're doing this. You gotta go all the way. You gotta go all the way.
But that's a lot of pressure, Kevin.
That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure.
If you ever go to a season where it's like you better win the championship or bust, that's like. I will say, we'll get to it later. Like, have the expectation of like you have a legitimate shot of winning the championship, and then bounces happen where they happen. But
this team is more than capable of winning the title.
Yes,
more than
capable of winning it. That's all I ask.
But things do happen. And then let's give some commendations to the Seattle Storm. They are still winning even without a lot of their lineup. A lot of them have gone to play for Team USA, so they have won 4 of their last 5. They won on July 2nd, July 4th, July 7th, July 11th, beating Phoenix, LA Sparks again in the Atlanta Dream. They have 1 loss to Diana Taurasi's Phoenix Mercury, although she was not playing in that game. But the Storm are still rocking it. So if you can get out to a Storm game, please go and support them. They are up there in Everett. But gentlemen, let's talk about some Seattle Mariners baseball. So it has been a couple weeks since we were on the air. We had to take a 4th of July break, some vacation time for some of us. You know, we've done 44 straight shows, so we had to get one week break. I know Kevin was very upset about that. Look at that. He's
I'll one-man show this whole damn thing. That'd be horrible.
Who knows what would have happened with this podcast
so bad.
all by himself? Who knows what would have happened?
All right.
Bad. That's what
happened. All right. Well, let's talk about the last 2 weeks since we have been off the air. So I'm just gonna kind of run down. I'm just gonna list win or loss versus the team here. So we start out with Toronto. Loss, win. So they get a series win there. July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th against Texas. Win, loss, win. So they get a series win there. Come home for 6 games before the All-Star break. They take on the Yankees. loss, win. And then they hosted the Angels for their final homestand before the All-Star break, and it was a win-loss. So, gentlemen, it has been a couple weeks since we have met. What have been your thoughts on the Seattle Mariners? Kevin, you've been keeping those takes in for a couple weeks now. Let's hear what you have to say about the Mariners.
I predicted every game, score everything. No, I'm kidding. I thought we were going to lose a little bit more to the Blue Jays. I didn't think we'd take the series win, so that was kind of impressive. What to start out with? Kikuchi's still been really good. Actually, the really thing that there's been a couple of things that surprised me. Flexen's been solid.
Solid. He's been awesome.
Yeah, he's just whatever he did, he found it. He's just been putting it out there and laying it down. I think he has under a 2 ERA over his last 3 starts, I think. Something like that.
And I don't know.
But I'll take it. Another surprise is the bullpen. The bullpen has kind of pulled it together with the exception of a really, really bad player named Montero, who was on 4 days rest coming into Sunday and then gave up more runs. 4 more runs, I think, in the end, in the 8th and 9th? Yeah. So there's a reason he was on 4 days rest, because they didn't want to use him. But they were just well, we're down 3-1. We're probably going to lose this game, so we'll just throw him in there just to save an arm. And then they had to bring in Will Vest anywho. So yeah, but everybody else in the bullpen, Seawald, Swanson's now back, everybody just doing work. It was kind of shocking. There was a stat I saw too where let me just see if I can pull it up here. That was super duper impressive. Something about, I think their ERA is under 2.5.
Oh yeah, they have the second best ERA in the league right now, behind.
So it was nice to see, more or less. Let's see, what else? Justice Sheffield sucks. I mean, it's kind of tough, because he was really good last year, as we saw. And then, I don't know if he's he's now on the IL because he's hurt, quote unquote. I don't know about that. He might be hurt from sucking. Maybe his ego's hurt. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where either you need to send him down to AAA to have a come to Jesus moment, or you throw him in the bullpen and just kind of hope and pray that he can give you a 1 to 2 innings, kind of what you are doing with Santiago right now, where he can give you 2 to 3 solid innings, even though he went 4 innings on Sunday. Overall, it's been a pretty impressive team. I know the run differential doesn't say that, but they're just finding ways to pull stuff out of their keisters, and I guess I'll take it. We're only 6 games back of first place wild card. So
we're at a 2.5, 3. I think we're 3.
Shoot, we're maybe not more. Well, after the loss, I wasn't sure.
Well, Houston lost 6 in a row there, and then Oakland lost.
Well, Houston's got the.
Yeah.
Seattle's 3.5 back for wild card at this moment.
Yeah.
Did the A's jump Houston?
No, it's Tampa Bay and then the A's at this moment.
Okay. So overall, I hope they can kind of continue to keep going with it. Cal Raleigh was a nice surprise to bring up, even though he didn't really have much of a day, but that's fine. He'll eventually kind of shine when he needs to. I know people are out there oh, he needs to be Wander Franco and just shoot freaking bomb on the first. It's Wander Franco's Wander Franco. Even though Cal Raleigh's a beast, not most people are going to have those type of days on their first day out. So
Wander Franco really sucked after his first day too. Let's be very real here.
So it's it'll be interesting to see what happens with injuries and stuff like that, with all these bone bruises that are going on and stuff like that. But overall, I mean, they're 5 games above 500. Okay, I'm a little surprised, I guess. but happy.
Sean?
I will say it was kind of a frustrating 2 weeks. Frustrating in the fact that like just winning these series, yeah, they probably should have. I would have thought they would have lost the Toronto series, and they did lose the New York series. But they're not giving themselves, like, Texas is bad. You don't have to drop a game to Texas. But however, a lot of these games that are dropping are like bullpen games or a Marco Gonzalez or a Sheffield game. And once Sheffield's out of the bullpen, it'll help. Once there's no bullpen game, it'll help. But Marco's got to figure it out. Like, he's so bad right now, too. Losing a game every 5 days and not getting a sweep. Not like sweeping Texas or sweeping Los Angeles because you have to have a bullpen game or something is bad because, let's be honest, the Mariners were a Logan Gilbert super mega start, which was so awesome, by the way, to see Logan Gilbert dominate the Yankees. You're a Logan Gilbert game away from the Yankees sweeping you in an embarrassing fashion because they really were clearly the better team that series until Logan Gilbert showed up, which was amazing to see. I think that was the most important performance of the 2 weeks was Logan Gilbert looked like Logan Gilbert we all thought he was going to be. He's been fantastic recently, so I am very, very happy about that. So, hitting wise, I like Cal Raleigh coming up. I'm all for that. I think he's ready. What else are you going to get there at that level? Jake Fraley keeps doing his thing. Kyle Seager struggling immensely really sucks right now for either his trade value or like just getting something to help some of these young kids while we're playing a bunch of these guys. That's really frustrating. JP Crawford's still been really good. Luis Torrens has been a lot better since getting called back up. And Ty France is starting to come back a little. So I agree with Kevin too. Can we just DFA Montero because we just don't need this in our life anymore? We're going to have Johan Ramirez, which I really love his stuff. He's wild. So he can be our one Montero in the bullpen, but you can't really have two. So, and I like the upside of Ramirez and not the downside of Montero. So I'd say the last 2 weeks, Matthew's been a mixed bag. Please sweep the bad team or sweep one series to give yourself a buffer in case you're swept, which is very likely to happen at some point very soon.
I mean, overall, very pleased. As Sean said, you'd like to get some series wins, but at least winning the series is better than losing the series, obviously. So positive there at the plate. Mitch and Kyle and Ty and JP are doing their thing for the most part. JP, man, has he come on very strong towards the end of the first half of the season. So I'm very interested to see how he does in the second half of the season. Jake Fraley continues to play well, has clutch hits. And, the guy I don't feel like gets as much, commending as he should is Shed Long Jr. I really like the way he's been playing. May not necessarily show up in the stats, but he does come up with big hits and big plays when they need him. So I like the play of Shed Long. Pitching wise, I would agree with what both of you said. And I really wanted to say what Sean was going to say. Like, Marco just seems off. I don't really understand what is going on with him. I know his wife had a baby recently, so that probably has a little bit to do with it, wanting to be home for that and that sort of thing. There's no paternity leave in baseball, unfortunately, but you're going to have to wait till probably October, Marco. So just hold out for a little bit. But the pitching overall, like the fact that they're getting wins, Flexen looks like an amazing signing at this moment in time. Like you guys have said, Logan Gilbert has been playing better. So, there are some spots that obviously they could get better at. And Montero is certainly one of them. I see it in the Facebook group that I'm in, the Seattle Mariners fans. A lot of them say the same thing you guys do on Twitter, not necessarily in all caps, but they do say the same things that you guys do on Twitter about Montero. So I think everyone is in the same boat, probably hoping to not see Montero as much because he just does not perform when he gets in there. I do want to mention the injury report. So July 9th, Justice Sheffield, manager Scott Cervais said Friday that Sheffield won't pitch anytime in the near future, according to Daniel Kramer of MLB.com. July 10th, Evan White got an update. DePoto said Saturday that White's hip injury is more ominous than the club originally thought. that it is very possible the first baseman won't return this season. So it looks like Jake Bauer is probably going to be in line for more playing time there. Daniel Kramer of MLB.com reporting there. And then I'm looking at the injury report right now. Yesterday, Kyle Seager was added as day-to-day. So something to look at there. But, looking at the wild card standings, the Mariners are 3.5 games out, and it is the midway point of the season. So if you're a Mariners fan and you're anything other than happy, I don't understand why, but that is up to you. And then let's talk a little bit about the All-Star selection. So you say Kikuchi was selected for the Mariners All-Star team. It was his first selection. I don't, and it's a weird situation with what has happened since then. So he was placed on the IL right before the All-Star break, and then he has been taking off today, is what I have heard. So there's a story right now, Kikuchi off IL, but won't pitch an All-Star game.
The COVID IL.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. COVID IL. Okay. So it wasn't actual physical movement injury. It was an ailment. So that is
He showed symptoms or signs, but he has been vaccinated and he got cleared to actually play in the All-Star game, but he will not play in the All-Star game.
Yeah. So interesting development there. Unfortunately, he won't get to pitch in the game, but I mean, he was still in our All-Star. So let me ask you both, do you think more should have been on there? Are you good with Yusei getting that nod, or did you think someone else deserved that spot? Me, not knowing as much as you guys about baseball, I feel like Yusei was easily our best representative on the team. You could make the argument for Machanager, I imagine, as well as JP Crawford, I feel like got snubbed. You guys can talk about snubs as well. But JP with the first half of the season he had, I feel like it was he probably is on the borderline of making the team or not. So I understand, not everyone's going to make it, but man, does that dude to be an all-star. So it's unfortunate he wasn't able to make it, but hopefully, if he keeps playing this well, he'll get that nod next year and, show everybody why he deserved to be an all-star this year. Sean, what do you think?
Our best player this year has been JP Crawford. I would say he's probably, if we could only have one, he's the guy. I would actually say number 2 is like Chris Flexen. His advanced numbers, his WAR and all that stuff are actually higher than Kikuchi's. He's been sneakily good, never just doesn't talk about him. Like Kevin brought up, he's been actually really amazing. But I'm fine with Kikuchi. Kikuchi's, I think, been good enough to be the one representative. But I still think the Mariners are a one representative team. I don't think they deserve multiple All-Stars. And that's not even bad. Like the Rays, until the very last guy, only had 2 or only had 1. Oakland has 1. Like, and they're both in the playoffs right now. Like the idea, and Texas has 3. And do we really want to be Texas or do we want to be the Mariners right now? Like the number of All-Stars, I think, is like kind of irrelevant and overblown. I just wanted to have the best or good enough. Like I want to be the Rays. I just want to have like 15 good players. I don't need superstars. I want 15 good players. I'm going to win a bunch of baseball games. And that's what I want. And right now that's what we have a bunch of guys who could be good and might be good, but I'm not worried about like, did these guys get snubbed because they're not superstars? Like JP probably should be the guy, but if he's not, like shortstop in the American League is a hard position to get into. Like there's a lot of really good shortstops. I'm sorry, but that's kind of what it is. Like if he'd been a second baseman, he's like the second baseman picked, like, but he doesn't play second base. So it's just what it is. He picked a bad year to be a shortstop in the American League, and he's having a great year. And if he does this again next year, he'll probably get in. But that's kind of how it goes. It's a popularity contest your first year, and this isn't popular enough right now.
All right, Kevin, before we get to you, I just want to mention who is on the team for American League. So Carlos Correa is a reserve, Tim Anderson from the Chicago White Sox, and Bo Bichette. I forgot about Bo Bichette, and Joey Wendell also were there as well. So, Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, like I said, maybe I could have seen him as like an alternative, but you named some really good players right there. I mean,
You forgot the start.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Xander Bogaerts as a star.
Like, is like third in the league.
Bray is a household name that's going to go. Boba Fett has the highest stealing percentage success rate in the league right now.
Yeah.
Like, and there is, like Sean kind of already mentioned, he's just going up against a lot of really good shortstops. Kikuchi, he's had a really good year, so I'm not surprised he's in. But as Sean mentioned too, Flexen was already, but it's just Kikuchi's probably more of a well-known name than Chris Flexen. So I think, and a lot of times it's kind of just like, as Sean said, it's a popularity contest. There's probably players from other teams that should have probably been on the rosters, of both the NL and AL that didn't make it, just because they're not well-known household names, type of deal. So it's sadly, it should be more about stats, but when the average baseball fan just thinks that average, batting average is the most important stat when it's nowhere near it, that's what's going to happen, sadly. I was seeing a thing where, and I saw Sean going to the defense, where people thought Zunino was shouldn't have been on there, but like Zunino's just ape shit. Like, who gives a shit about his batting average when he literally lowers every pitcher's he's with by ERA by a single point? Like,
well, again, like his batting average is like 220, but his OPS is over 830. Like, OPS is what matters, and he has a really good OPS. So
plus the league average right now is what, like 244 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's lower than that.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So overall, I'm okay with it. And plus, Mariners fans down the line, you're going to see a lot more, especially what you saw of the Futures game. You're going to see a lot more All-Stars, with Julio and, of course, as we mentioned, JP, if he continues that up, Julio, Kelnick, Marte eventually down the line, Emerson, Hancock, Gilbert, like, there'll just be plethora of.
Well, let's put it this way, Kevin. So Mike Zunino has a 198 batting average. His WAR on the season is 0.7 higher than JP Crawford's. Like, he's been really good.
Yep.
He's been really good. His slugging is 530. Like, the dude just hits bombs. Like, that's what he does. Like,
I miss him. I miss you, Mike.
He's a good catcher.
Yeah, Tampa Bay got him for us.
He's the second best catcher in the American League, fifth in baseball right now. Like, he's just really good at baseball.
So, Cal Raleigh, you've got some shoes to fill, buddy.
Got second best defensive catcher in baseball. Jeez.
All right. Well, let's transition to a catcher that was selected in the first round by the Seattle Mariners. So the Mariners selected Harry Ford, catcher, North Cobb High School from Georgia, with the 12th overall pick. I'm just going to run down the rest of the Mariners picks really quickly. It happened today, rounds 2 through 10. So Edwin Arroyo from Central Point Christian Academy, a shortstop, with a pick in the second round by the Mariners. Third round, Michael Morales, East Pennsboro High School, Pennsylvania, right-handed pitcher. Fourth round, Bryce Miller, right-handed pitcher out of Texas A&M. Fifth round, Andy Thomas, catcher out of Baylor. Sixth round, Brian Wu, Cal Poly, right-handed pitcher. Seventh round, Colin Davis, outfielder, Wofford, out of South Carolina. That's the college. Round 8, James Parker, infielder, Clemson. Round 9, Spencer Packard, outfielder, Campbell University, North Carolina. And then the 10th round, Jordan Jackson, right-handed pitcher out of Georgia Southern. So, Sean, what do you think of these prospects that the Mariners have drafted?
I looked at really the top 3. We talk about how the NFL is kind of a gamble. The baseball draft is really a gamble after you get really high, it's even high. So the Mariners have been very safe in the past, taking college pitchers, Kirby, Hancock, Logan Gilbert, and they're very safe. And they have a lot of upside. Obviously, they're drafting really high. Hancock was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick. But they have enough pitching. They have gobs of pitching in the minors. They're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. They have even some guys up in the majors. They need infielders and they need splash bats. And those usually come from high school kids. High school kids have the huge upside. You can get the Trevor Stories, you can get the Trey Turners, you can get all those guys, or Trey Turner was a college bat, but still, like, you get the high upside guys. Like, could be Alex Rodriguez, could be Griffey. You know, these are the guys that the big boomer bust guys. And the Mariners couldn't afford to take some of these guys, and they finally did. They took the first 2 guys. This is a very deep, up the middle draft, especially early. There was a couple guys, a lot of guys fell to the Mariners in the first round. However, what people need to understand is baseball draft is different than football draft, where you get the guy and he can sign with you, especially with high school guys. They can opt to go to college. You also have a block of money you could only spend. So you can't just be like, oh, this guy wants $10 million. I'm going to give him $10 million. You have only so much you could spend for your entire draft. And that is what is called the slot money. So the slot money is like, oh, he's projected to get $6 million for to be drafted here. And you can pay him over $6 million, but then you're basically costing yourself signing other players you're going to draft. So do you want to sign this guy over for other picks, basically? So that goes into like, someone's like, do I take the best guy available and not pay? Like, someone was like, if the Kumar Rocker dropped to the Mariners at 12, which he almost did, do you take him? The problem is with Kumar Rocker signing him at 12, you're going to have to give up basically your second, third, and probably fourth round picks because you won't be able to sign them. That's kind of where teams are running into this. If they get drafted higher, you can spend more money, you know, things like that. But like, so there's a couple guys people wanted. I had Harry Ford as my number 2 guy I wanted realistically for the Mariners. So I was totally super sweet with the Mariners taking this guy. He plays a little bit of outfield. He's also rumored to play a little bit of second base. That's where I project him to go to. He's a very athletic kid, and he's projected to probably play almost anywhere. And I assume in this organization, he might play some catcher, but he might switch to an infield position. And so that's why I like this other thing. And then the next thing that they did was take Edwin, who is a young, super young. He's 17 kid. He's technically Matthew. Yes, he went to play high school in Florida, but he's from Puerto Rico. He only went there to get noticed this year. So he's a kid. He's 17. He's like, but he is wired. He has a ton of upside. So like, that's why they took him. And I'm like, yes, you got a shortstop guy up the middle with tons of upside. And you also got another guy who could play a couple positions with tons of upside. Michael, their 3rd round pick, I'm less pleased with. People think he has a lot of upside. He probably does, but I don't really see it. Reading him before the draft and after the draft is kind of like confirming the same thing I had read. I mean, he might be good. He's a 3rd round pitcher. We have a lot of pitchers, but who knows? He projects still right now to be a starter, but he might transition to a relief pitcher depending on how this plays out. And to be honest, I don't know a ton about the 4th round pick, Bryce Miller, to be very real honest with you. But I only knew the top 3. So,
Kevin, any thoughts on any of these drafted prospects?
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't really had time to study kids pre-draft. I did take a look at some of the footage of Harry Ford. Yeah, like as Sean kind of already mentioned, just solid bat. Definitely can learn some more stuff defensively. He's got a missile though. Like I was watching him do some reps for like a pro day or something along that line where he was just ripping it to second. And it was very accurate. Only one of them kind of went a little low, but they were still able to catch it. And that kid just missiled that shit all the way to second. So it was kind of surprised. It was nice to see like a good, if even if that transitions to second, like that's if he transitions to a second baseman, excuse me, that's still a good utility to use on double plays and stuff like that, to where the kid can just zip it down to first if needed or wherever the ball needs to be. But it's kind of like it feels like a Noel V Marte type of deal where like he's got the bat and now we just kind of have to teach him the fielding like type of deal. Even though some of the aspects from what I saw in the film, which was kind of very little at this time, there were some like aspects that just seems okay, but who knows? It's high school versus pro. So there's still a lot to go up from there. So I'm excited to see it. All the other prospects, I'm going to have to kind of YouTube over the next week just to kind of look at what their tape looks like, and probably maybe give like a small assessment next week. But excited that we got the picks that we did. and we'll kind of go from there.
And these kids will change a lot too, because they're gonna get in this system, and then because again, especially the first three guys are high school kids, so Mariners can kind of mold these guys into who they want and where they want to put them. So
Well, Sean, let me ask you this though. So I have covered a couple players who have gotten drafted for at the high school level. So when I was at the Chronicle, I covered two pitchers who were drafted. So the first one, his name is Brandon White, just a tall kid, could throw real fast. He was drafted in the 14th round by the Dodgers, ended up not taking their offer and he's playing baseball at WSU right now. But on the opposite side of it, the next year, one of their other pitchers, Brock Jones, got drafted, a lefty with a lot of speed. Like his fastball was reaching 90. There were scouts there every game. And he got drafted in the 16th round by the Diamondbacks. And he is now playing for the Vasilia Rawhide. If you know where that is, that would be very impressive. That is a low A affiliate for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So, obviously the higher round picks are a little bit different. You're going to get a lot more money if you sign as a higher round pick. But on the other hand, there is the new rule for college. Like athletes can make some money now off their likeness. So what do you see as the likelihood of the Mariners signing your top three guys that they were drafted?
Well, they signed Harry Ford
in
an hour and a half. So,
okay. Well, that answers that question.
And he signed for slot money, so they did not. So it's perfect. That's why you hope you don't have to pay him above slot. So that's perfect. I haven't heard anything because I was at work today. I didn't hear anything about signing anybody else yet, but I think Edwin, knowing how he came here to play baseball, like he came from Puerto Rico this year to play baseball in the United States, he's going to sign, I would assume. I don't think he's going to come here to play baseball for half a year to go to college. I don't know about the pitcher, Michael Morales from Edsboro, but I assume a still third round pick, you're going to get some money thrown at you. So I feel like, at least, again, I'm going to speak to the first three guys. And after that, because you get some college guys, I think they'll all sign. The issue is going to be what they do with the three of them, because the one that's the most interesting is the first two, because again, Harry Ford can play a couple positions. What do they end up doing with him position wise? And Edwin is so young, and he's been in the States for only so long. What do they end up doing with him as well? And with that transitions to what do they do on top of that because they only have so many minor leagues this year now too. They cut a bunch out. So they're going to have to transition and sign some players and move some players into different organizations. So I assume promotions are coming for Mariner players because they're going to have to move some guys up. So that's what I'm looking for. I do not anticipate signing these guys, at least the top three, being hard. I don't anticipate them signing all 10 of these guys that they've drafted so far, but these first three, I do not expect it to be a problem.
Kevin, any thoughts on that?
No, ditto.
All right. Well, let's get a little bit of a prospect update of the prospects that are in the Mariner system, signed, playing. So, Sean, I'm going to throw it to you. Give us a prospect update. How are they doing? Outside of Kyle Raleigh being called up, which we already talked about a little bit, but you can talk about that if you want to.
The Aqua Sox recently bumped their run differential to 150 on the season, so they keep doing their thing. They had the shortstop. Oh gosh, what's his name? Kevin, I sent it to you.
Frick.
Yeah, he got promoted.
Frick.
Yeah, he got promoted. Mm-hmm. Oh no, the catcher. Frick. The catcher was promoted to Arkansas. Yeah, no, drawing a blank. But yeah, he was promoted to Arkansas, which I think, so again, more will come. Jared Kelnick has been playing very well still. So I assume my guess would be shortly after this break, once they figure out where these players are going to land, there'll be some more time. They're not going to go right away to playing, but promotions will be coming and they'll have a ripple effect. So I think Kelnick will kind of get pushed back to the major league team because I think he's shown he's got some ABs under his belt. He'll come back sooner rather than later. Other than that, Emerson Hancock was at the Futures game playing. I assume he will get promoted as well. A bunch of Everett is going to move on to Arkansas very soon. So they've all been playing well. Nothing has changed there. Julio's already in Arkansas. I'm not sure Kirby will get moved up right away, but I assume Emerson Hancock will be.
Kevin, anything to add?
Yeah, some sexy stats here that pretty much everybody on the Aqua Sox has just been going nuts. Four of their almost their four last starts with Brash, Stout, Elliott, and Kirby. 28 innings, 2.83 ERA, 40 Ks, 5 walks, and they all won. Kirby went like just nuts. He went like 7 innings with 11 Ks, and just was making people look stupid. Zach DeLoach actually has been looking pretty solid too. Like, people need to stop sleeping on that kid. That's a name that needs to be kind of mentioned a little bit more now for Mariners prospects. Like, his stat line is kind of nutty. Let's see if I can find it here. Austin Shetton he had a 3-run bomb the other day. Oh yeah, first 49 games as a pro for Zach DeLoach. 304 with 63 hits, 26 RBIs, 26 walks, 6 stolen bases. Yeah, all that fun jazz. Kind of good. So stuff's looking good. Noel V. Marte, just honestly, every day I look on Twitter and he's got some crazy hit where he's getting a double or triple. Like, the kid can hit. I wouldn't be surprised. As me and Sean already mentioned, his outfielding needs to be improved, but he might get sent to Everett. I don't know. Like,
I assume he will.
I mean, he can still work on his fielding there.
Yeah, no,
but
it's just
like his bat is just stupid. It's so stupid.
That's never been a problem.
He's making lower A pitchers just look like preschoolers. It's awesome to watch, to be honest. Every highlight I see on Twitter. So pretty much all good signs. Like, yeah, every team's just kind of doing their thing and just kicking some butt. So like, Mariners fans should be excited. Like, you have an above 500 team right now with your farm system just murdering. So like, it should be okay. Like, you should be happy. So.
All right. Well, let us know what you think of the prospects, what you think of the Mariners draft picks in this most recent draft, what you think of Kikuchi not being able to play in the All-Star game. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Matt. Sean's at Sean Scorbetta. Kev's at Kev's first name in believes being a 3. I messed it up. I'm out of practice. We missed that week, and it's gone. Yeah. It's gone. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Follow our page on the E-Line Network. Sean, you have on here, what is success? Mariners and Seahawks, ! So this is a very serious topic with the exclamation point. So Sean, take it away here.
I'll include you guys in this conversation too, but it got brought up because some people are wanting to trade for Nelson Cruz. I have a question. Would you guys trade for Nelson Cruz this year?
No.
Exactly. So you guys get it. I think we've talked about this. Some people want to trade for Nelson Cruz and give up some smaller prospects, some guys that were, still top 30 in this organization, but not, one of the big guys, obviously. My response to that is absolutely not, because they are like, let's make the push for the playoffs. And my spot is what is success needs to be defined. Success to me, we talked about this in this podcast with Matthew and with Kevin, is success is not going to the playoffs one time and being eliminated in the wild card game. Wild card games especially are one game. You have your best pitcher, you have a monster ace, and you're gonna go out there, and the the Rays are gonna throw glass now at you, and we're gonna throw Marco Gonzalez. We're losing that game, guys.
First of all, that's debatable if they would throw Marco out there at this moment. But go ahead.
Okay, but probably we lose that game. So I got news for we somehow play the Yankees. They're gonna throw Garrett Cole, and we're gonna throw Flexen. Like, we're going to lose that game. Like it's not. If it was prime Felix, it's one thing. If it's 2012 and you have Felix Hernandez, you could say, like, hey, we will win that game. Let's say we do somehow win that game. Like, we're going to then lose to Houston. I don't want to sell what could be a prospect. Like Kevin just said, our prospects are killing it. Everyone wants our guys. We have arms for days. We have things for days. Why give any of those people anything for half a season of 42-year-old Nelson Cruz, who one bat isn't really going to solve your issues as a team. And if you do make the playoffs, you just get embarrassed in one game. What success is, and this Seahawks fans need to hear this too. We talked about this podcast. I'm going to reiterate again for both the Mariners and the Seahawks. The Mariners, you have a window here coming up. So success in Seattle sports and sports in general is sustained chance to actually win the championship. It doesn't mean win the championship. I was telling Kevin earlier, because winning championships takes some skill, takes some luck. Like, you get like the Saints a couple years ago, you get a bad call with the Rams and then you don't go. Like things happen in one games or, things like that. A team gets hot. The Nationals beat the Dodgers 2 years ago. They're not better than that. Look where the Nationals are now. Look where the Dodgers are. The Dodgers were clearly better. Random things happen occasionally. But year in and year out for 6 years, are you one of the 6 or 8 teams that when the playoffs start, you have a legit chance to win the championship? And that's what the Mariners and the Seahawks need to be. Last year, the Seahawks were not it. The Mariners somehow make the playoffs this year. They're not one of the teams who has a chance to win the World Series. I'm not saying, again, success is measured by winning the World Series, but getting the playoffs isn't the success. It's, okay, we're in the playoffs. Can we actually win the thing? And if we don't, then we don't. Like, it's fine. Like, if you go to the playoffs the first year, like, hypothetically, you're in the AFC now, and you play Kansas City game 1 of the playoffs and lose. Yeah, you lost to Kansas City. They're a good team. Like, it happens. You're one of the 6. It is what it is. But I'm not going there and losing to, like, some other terrible team like the Browns. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be, what Toronto was last year. Toronto was never going to play in the World Series last year. They were the 7th seed. They got embarrassed in the first round by the Rays. Like, that's just what happened. Like, I don't want us to be that. If we make the playoffs and get embarrassed, it's fine. But don't trade valuable pieces, like Kevin said, for later years and later success for the playoffs. It doesn't mean anything. People just want to make the playoffs just to make the playoffs' sake. And I'm like, give up nothing. And if you make it, that's fine. But don't give up players who could help you for 6 years to make the playoffs for 1 year.
Kevin, me, you, what do you want to do?
I don't care.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you guys a question real quick. When you think of Seahawks success, what year comes to mind?
2013. It comes to a couple of years. It comes to 12, 13, and 14.
Well,
I would say 13 for the most part, but
if you had to narrow it down to one, just because, like, when you think back to success and stuff like that, we don't, like, when you go to Seahawks fans, you don't see them. They'll always be like, we're Super Bowl champs. We are, like, super close to doing back-to-back. Nobody ever talks about, hey, we went and beat RG3 in FedEx Field and then went to go lose, the next round, like, take a deal to Atlanta. Like, nobody talks about that.
Or we lost to Dallas in the first round.
Like, who cares? Like, yeah, like, look at our record, and we already mentioned it on the podcast earlier. Like, who gives a crap if we go 12-4 and then we lose out to the Rams with them lose Jared Goff? Like, it doesn't matter because, like, you're gonna, like, okay, say if the Mariners, their farm system does what they do and we go on to win a World Series or 2 down the road, like, who's gonna go back and be like, oh my gosh, remember the great time when we got Nelson Cruz and then we went and we got to the wild card for the first time, like, 21 years, and then we lost our asses to Tampa Bay? Yeah, that was great. Like, no one cares about that crap. You're not gonna look back on that. People look back on championships, period. Or, like, super close moments. The only thing, like, other than that I could really say would be, like, Beastquake. People
like
only remember that.
Yeah, like runs. Like, the Rays fans love that they went to the World Series last year. They had a good team. They had a run. They had a legit chance to win. Like, yeah.
Plus, also, too, I think it helped that, like, literally everything in Tampa Bay went well. Like, the only good thing about 2020 was Tampa Bay. For, like, the only people that had a good time was Tampa Bay, really, because of all their success for their sport teams. But, like, when you look back at, like, Beastquake, like, that was the only good thing. And then next week we get our asses handed to us by the Bears, a crappy Bears team. Like, whoa, like, was it worth, like, sure, Beastquake was awesome, but that's the only thing you remember about that game, really.
That's a perfect example, Kevin. We had been bad for a long time, or been bad for a while, won a meaningless wild card game. It was a cool play. Yeah, that was awesome. But then we get embarrassed the next week, and no one, when you say success, no one talks about that year. Because it didn't matter. Like, we were bad in the next year.
Nobody talks that that the Beastquake was over the former Super Bowl champion.
Yes. Even
like,
then, but like you said, even then we won one game, got embarrassed the next week to the Rex Grossman Bears, and then we went to go to playoffs next year. No one considers that like a prime, like, yeah, it was awesome. Like maybe the one play was, but like everyone forgets everything that happened after that one play. Everything that's happened. Like if that one Bees Quick play doesn't happen, no one remembers that year. Or no one remembers that year as anything good.
Because I mean, we were 7-9.
Yeah, like
they're on a technicality because their division sucked.
Well, like your example, like Washington hasn't been for a long time since RG3, and they went this last year and they got beat in the first round. They were 7-9 and got beat in the first round by Tampa Bay. Are Washington fans like, yeah, we remember this forever? No, you're not gonna remember this for anything. Like it means nothing. Like they would rather have sustained success than having like traded their next two first. Like you're asking, like again, Mariner fans, like to trade for Nelson Cruz. If Washington last year was coming in the last 2 weeks of the season, are like, look, we might make the playoffs. Should we trade our second round pick to get a better player? That's what you're asking the Mariners to do. Like they're trading their second round pick to get a guy to watch them lose the same game they're going to lose anyways. Like who cares? Like if you get a little bit marginally better, you're going to play the fucking Brady Bucks. You're going to lose. You're going to play Tampa Bay Rays. They're going to beat you. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. Like we're not there yet. Like save those players that people want. And one before the Matthew, like everyone online was complaining about all these Marin players we gave up there in the All-Star game. Mike Zunino, Peralta, especially Peralta. Everyone's like, oh, Peralta, Taijuan Walker, Chris Taylor, all these other guys. And I go, Peralta was a throwaway player in a trade who wasn't very good, but yet you want to then immediately trade for Nelson Cruz and give away throwaway players when one of the guys is in the All-Star game for another team. Stop giving guys away that other people like on like the lower down on the top 130 on the Mariners, because it could be the next Peralta that you give away. How good would it be for a Peralta to be on this team right now? Like, yeah, but you gave him away to get a guy for half a season again. Mm-hmm. Stop doing that when we're right about to compete with all these kids, and maybe you don't give away the next Peralta. So stop. The Mariners fans can't have one part of A and part of B. You either get A or you get B. You're going to trade away these Peraltas and maybe win a little bit, but nothing major, or keep all these guys and keep Peralta.
And to kind of add to the note, and then I'll pass it to you, Matt. What you want to do with that is down the line, when you are good, when you can compete, you still have a little bit of then go get your key guys. Like, yes, then you can do what like the Padres do and go make your starting five rotation stupid. Like, instead of getting a one guy, like a one-time piece that's going to be gone next year that might give you like a little bit of boost. Like now, sadly, it didn't really work out for the Padres because, two of them got hurt. And actually another one, like, because
they're still doing pretty good. I think they're okay right now.
Yeah. I mean, they're still in there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, imagine had Clevenger played this season, and the kid that they got from Tampa Bay that's hurt, Snell. And then now
Snell's been awful this year, just awful.
And now Darvish is on the IL for them. Like it would have been crazy. Like that's the stuff you want to do down the line. Like, especially like, okay, for example, if Logan Gilbert pans out, Emerson Hancock pans out, Kirby, and then like for some weird reason Kikuchi's still doing Kikuchi things, and then you just need your fifth guy. Be like, well, we got these two prospects over here that we're not, we are outfield filled. We can just send outfield prospects to go get our fifth really good starter, like, and just have a just nasty starting five rotation that nobody's going to freaking beat. Like, that's what you should do. Like, use it when you need to fill the actual gaps, when you know what your core team is going to be over the next, half decade.
So I'm going to keep this short. We're almost about 50 minutes. So I will agree with both of you. No, we do not trade for Nelson Cruz. One, he's 40 or over, 41, something like that. Like, he's almost done. Like, I get he's playing well at 40, but no, it's a 1 year borrow for a push, and no, thank you. I will say, as I think you both have determined, success is different for different teams, and that is clearly based for the most part on history. And for the Mariners, making the playoffs would absolutely be a success this year. Now, Are you selling the farm to do it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Stay the course. Let's see what happens. If you don't make it, you weren't expected to. If you make it, great success. So at this point, the Mariners just need to stay where they're at. If there is a great trade deal for Seager, for Haniger, for some of these guys who might not come back, I say absolutely do it. But at this point, unless, like we talked about earlier, I don't see any reason to not stay the course and just see how these players play for the rest of the season and see what happens. Because, like you guys have said, we're not expected to make it this year. Our prospects are going to pan out, hopefully, and then we'll have a window down the road. With the Seahawks, it's different. Success is different. You guys mentioned all those playoff games, but the great part is we were in those games, and Mariners fans have not had that. And I understand why they're calling for Nelson Cruz, because they want the playoffs. That is what they want. Now, is that necessarily success this season? Absolutely. Maybe if they have like good players, prospects pan out, they make the playoffs, consistently leading the division, beating Astros, beating Angels, beating A's, then success will be defined differently. For the Seahawks, I think Seahawks fans are generally very spoiled, especially the last decade, especially with Russell Wilson. The Super Bowl was the peak. We hit the peak, and then we've been just clamoring for the peak ever since, and we just haven't reached it. 12-4, division win, lost to the Rams in the first round. Is that a success? Depends who you ask. I would say no, but it's not. We're not the Jets. We're not the Jaguars. So it's could be worse. Could be way worse. So
the Jets got a better pick, and we had the same chance of winning the Super Bowl.
Did they? They didn't even get in. They didn't even have a shot. The Canadians were the worst team in the playoffs and made the cup. So it's possible. It's possible.
We didn't have a shot. I told you 6 teams had a chance, and all 6 teams beat everybody else. They're the only 6 teams that mattered. Like, that was it. No one else mattered. The frustrating part is, Matthew, the Seahawks could have been one of those 6 teams. They're choosing not to be one of those 6 teams.
Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls. Canadians made the playoffs. Anything is possible, as Kevin Garnett said. Okay,
Matthew, you don't trade, or let's not
say. I'm not. Did I say to trade for Nelson Cruz? No, I'm saying success is measured differently, and that is how success works.
And Montreal got lucky and then got embarrassed.
I don't know about got lucky. They swept Winnipeg. They beat the Vegas Golden Knights, who
their season record was sub 500, including the playoffs. They were very, very, very lucky to be there. Like, incredibly lucky.
But then they won. So no one cares.
And they didn't win, and they'll be sub 500 next year, and then it'll really suck that happened. Like,
I mean, that's what you think, but you never know. You never know. That's all I'm saying. Just get in and then see what happens. That's all we want.
Look at Washington's record down here, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, that really am glad they won their championship at least." But like, there's a lot of times that you sell that 1 year, or you do it the 1 year, and it's just not.
Look, I'm agreeing with you. I'm not saying sell the 1 year. I'm saying if you get in, that's a success for the Mariners. Absolutely, above 500 is a success. Honestly,
But this is a success. But I'm just saying, like, the arbitrary mark of, like, it's a good year because we made the playoff. Like, who cares? It's like the arbitrary mark of, like, we got no hit. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like,
so if they make the playoffs this year, is it a success?
That doesn't change anything for me.
No. Is it a success? Yes or no?
Doesn't matter. No.
Kevin?
Their success is their minor leagues player. I do not care what their major league team does. I only care what their young players do.
To an extent, in my opinion, yes, only because my expectations for them were lower. But does it mean anything in the long run? No.
Exactly. That is what it like. You're saying it's a success. I'm saying it doesn't matter.
I know. I'm saying a success for this season. I'm not grading the next few seasons. I'm saying for this season, right now in the present moment, not looking at the future, not looking at prospects. Right now, making the playoffs is a success.
But in this is where like my opinion comes in on like. Especially fans get so hungry for stuff like that. It's imagine like you like have a little bit amount of money, but then you go like blow it on some big fancy like one night party like type of deal, and then you realize you don't have any money for the rest of the month to eat food like type of deal. I know I'm going on a weird tangent, but like you don't want to blow your wad on something that doesn't matter, like one night versus like how you live the course type of deal. And but fans are getting so hungry and desperate that they just want to taste it. But that's the thing. What I'm trying to tell you is you might want to feel that taste, but like at the end, it's going to be meaningless until you actually have the championship taste in your mouth. Like,
yeah, it'll be like Yeah, like Matthew, and at the back, let's say they make the playoffs and they get the last one. I'll know it wasn't like success would mean to me that like we're going the right direction and we're so lucky this year. Like we don't deserve to, our projected win loss is 40 and 51. We're supposed to be 11 games below 500. We're just super lucky. Like we're not playing well. We're getting really lucky. And so if we make the playoffs, it just means we were super lucky. It doesn't imply it was a success. Is this year fun? Yeah, this year's fun. This year would have been fun for me if we were 40 and 51, because I just want to see young kids play anyways. It wasn't about what the team's final record was for me, and especially some arbitrary like, do they make the playoffs or not? Yeah, losing the playoff streak would be fun, but I don't really. It doesn't matter to me because they weren't going for it this year anyways. If they luck into something, it's fine, but that doesn't make it a success for me.
Okay, that's fair. In my opinion, I would say it's a success because you lucked your way to the playoffs when no one thought you were going to be in the playoffs. And you are basing it on the future prospects that they will pan out and that they will be good.
No, not future prospects, like future direction of a team. Like, and that's what it implies. Like if the Jets or the Jags, they won one game and they win 5 games this year, it's a success because you're going a direction. You didn't just like win 5 games knowing next year you'll win 3. That was, you wouldn't look at that year 5-year win as a success then. It just was an anomaly. It was just a randomness. So if you tell me that they go to the playoffs this year and they'll lose 100 games next year, that year isn't a success. It doesn't matter what happened that year. I want the success is going a certain trajectory. That's where we're going.
I understand what you are saying. Yes, that makes sense. But to me, playoffs would be a success. And I'm sure a lot of fans are feeling that way. And that is why the Nelson Cruz question gets brought up. Why Nelson Cruz of all people? Just because he was a former Mariner, I imagine. Like,
no, well, he's available because the Twins.
He's on the trading block.
Yeah, the Twins are randomly so bad. They were really good and then just decided to get terrible this year. So I don't know.
The Athletics in Toronto are looking into him right now. So
yeah.
But anyway, to wrap it up, Sean, I understand what you're saying. Yes, one good year in the span of a bunch of terrible years is not success. I would agree with that. But on the other hand, if that one year is a championship and then the rest are crap, is that a success?
Yes, but a wild card. Well, no, it's not. But it's a fun year. It's a lucky year. It's a fun year. Like like you just answered it. You're like in the one year, if you make that run, it's not or you make that little thing and it's you get a little lucky and then you make a playoffs and it's not a success. You just said it wasn't a success. So you can't say this year's a success to make the playoffs if next year they're just terrible and they get worse the next 3 years.
I mean, I will have a fond 1-game playoff memory, at least from my last 20 years of life. So that's cool.
All that will be is like, we don't have the streak anymore.
Yeah, that'll be great. I would love to end that streak. Yeah.
It's an arbitrary streak that doesn't mean anything. Who cares?
Fair.
It'd be nice to be in the playoffs, but like let's put it this way. If the Mariners had the same record this year as they did last year, they'd be in the playoffs. So again, you're just saying the Mariners are winning at the wrong time. Like that's all that's happening. It's luck. That's all it is. And so that's what I'm saying. Like we've talked about before, like the playoff streak doesn't mean anything because it's basically luck anyways.
To a certain extent, sure.
The Mariners have been unlucky to not be in the playoffs at this point. So that's what it is.
To a certain extent, sure. Yes. Okay. Let's, we'll throw it out to the fans. We'll see if they say anything about this. So go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Beta_Matt. Sean's at Sean_Betty. Kev's at Kev's Believes. First team believes being a 3. Go ahead, subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think success is for the Mariners this season and what you think success is for the Seahawks this season. Actually, let's just bring all the teams in here. What is success for the Storm? What is success for the Sounders? What is success for the Kraken in the first year? Let's hear what you guys have to say about that. Go ahead and tweet us. We are at an hour, but next week, gentlemen, we'll be able to talk a little bit about Kraken. We'll get into some Seahawks stuff as well, and I'm sure we're going to have some Mariners news to talk about as well. So get ready for that. It's great to be back. Kevin, what did you do with your 1 week off?
Worked. And I kicked some people butt in Magic 1 week, kind of.
Oh.
Well, not really, no. Well, 2.5 weeks ago, I took second, but then this past week, I
just stop nerding out. Like I already.
So it was a good week.
All right. Well, we will be back next week. So we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports.